Hey guys, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty, giving you my weekly comic book review for May 3rd, 2023. Alright, for those of you that are new to the channel, I like to grab a bunch of comic books and review them each week and give them a score of 0 through 10. 7 being average, 10 being absolutely phenomenal. I've never given a 10, by the way. So most are going to be in the 7 point something range. You're also going to hear... Okay, that's my papers, that's my notes, because I do a combination of old school notes as well as computer. I'm going to be using the League of Comics Geeks to give additional information and insight as well as opposing views on the issues as well. I give my top 3, my bottom 3, and the ones in the middle. So today I'm going to start with the top. My number 3 for the top. For number 3, Moon Knight number 23. I gave it an 8.1. League of Comics Geeks said 60 out of 65 people liked it with a 4.3 average rating, which is pretty darn good. With this being at that high of number 60 out of 65, usually the higher that number is, usually you can tell better sales. So this book is selling pretty darn good, especially for Moon Knight. It's Panic Room, Moon Knight and Venom fighting side by side. Yeah, the Midnight Mission is open to all travelers by night who need aid, even if they're a host to the super symbiote Venom. When Dylan Brox asks Moon Knight for help, the two must stalk the nighttime streets together in search of justice. Writer is Jed McKay, artist is Alessandro Capa. Everybody knows I butcher names, so I'm not even gonna, no disrespect there. So anyway, my additional thoughts on that is the art was really good for this issue. I like that. I think the style works really good for Venom. I think if I'm gonna read more Venom, I think I'd like this style. You have a Moon Knight and Venom team up, which I think is really cool as they fight the Enforcers. There's a lot of fun. Moon Knight also then uses help of Venom to track down his enemy, and this was a solid issue. If you've not been getting this series, I think you're missing out. This has been a good series, and I would strongly, and I mean that strongly, recommend going back and getting it, or getting it in trade if whatever's available, to find what is out there. All right, my number 2. I will say this week was pretty surprising with me because the top ones weren't the ones I expected, but my number 2 is Joe Fixit, number 5, with an 8.2. Joe Fixit has been getting continuously high scores for me. 24 out of 24 liked it, which tells me it's probably not selling really high, but a 4.3 average rating. The smashing finale featuring the amazing, spectacular, you might even say incredible team up between Joe Fixit and Spider-Man as they attempt to push Kingpin and the impressive number of some of Spidey's toughest foes out of Las Vegas once and for all. Writers Peter David, and if you haven't been following, Peter David's having some health issues and things, so I don't think we'll be seeing much from Peter David for a while, and hopefully he'll get okay. So he'll be in my prayers. Artist, I'm not even going to butcher that guy's name. You'll have to look him up because, I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to do disservice here. For my notes, though, on this issue, first of all, I thought the art was good. You have a really good Electro Splash page in this. Electro Splash page. Nice. It really does have a fun cast of characters. And this has been a fun miniseries. So this is all 5 issues. If you haven't gotten it, get it. If you don't want to get it this way, get it in trade. Either way, make sure you get it, because if you don't, I think you're making a mistake. All right, so here we are for our number 1. Are you ready for the number 1? Yeah, this number 1 deserves a hand here. This one I had high hopes for based on the current writing. Now, I will say I'm not a big fan of this writer, but I think he's been knocked it out of the park with this, and that's Shazam number 1. I gave it an 8.5. You ready for this? League of Comics Geeks at 208 out of 215 liked it with a 4.4 average rating, which means the first issue sold well. They usually have around about 40% to 50% drop off to issue 2 because of collectors, but we'll see if that happens here. I enjoyed this story. The world's finest creators present the world's mightiest mortal and dazzling solo series. Yeah, we had dinosaurs in space, or from space in this. We have some introspection on the characters. Written by Mark Waid, and the artist is Dan Mora. And I'm not a Mark Waid fan, but he's been killing it on World's Finest, and I think he's done the same here with good art, nice, getting more depth. into the character. I think he's been bashed a little bit. Billy Bastion's been bashed by the writers lately. G. Willow Wilson surprised me a little bit at the end of a series because he was bashing the character all through as well. But this one's nice writing. It's giving the character depth, letting new readers too know and understand the character. For example, wisdom doesn't mean smart. I like that. It goes on there. Wisdom doesn't necessarily mean smart, and he shows the difference between him and when he's Shazam, as well as Billy Bastion, as well as the name change for the character, because it makes sense, because he could never really tell people he was Shazam, because saying that would cause him to change. So he's going under the Captain, which is sort of lame because he can't use Captain Marvel. I get that, but it makes sense. There's really good writing in this. Really, this is a great first issue, and I think you'd be mistaken to not be checking it out. All right, so next we're going to go to our next batch. Before we go to the bottom three, we're going to hit the middle. Before I do that, though, before we hit the middle, I want to take a moment to say thank you to these people. Without these people, this channel wouldn't be possible. They are producers of this channel by supporting us through Patreon and Subscribestar. And you can as well. You get special videos, other things like special background music, and sometimes I'll offer up some deals on things there too. So if you want special deals on tech items and things like that from my side business, I can help you out there as well. All right, with the shilling done, thank you, by the way, to those people again. Let's go to the middle. One of my middle issues. Are you ready? With this one, actually was pretty good. I was a little bit of a mixed bag of my thought on this one because, well, I have to remember sometimes that not all comic books are for kids. And this one definitely was not for kids at all. And that issue is none other than Peacemaker Tries Hard. Number 1, 87 out of 92 liked it with a 4.3 average rating, and I gave it a 7.5. With that said, Kyle Starks is the writer, artist Steve Pugh, sorry about that. Well, anyway, my thoughts is the art was okay. It seems like the writer is trying really hard to be edgy with this. Don't get me wrong. I mean, going out of their way to be edgy and offensive. I, for some reason, enjoyed it, but it seems like they're trying really hard. It's dumb, but yet it's a funny story. So if you like this character, I would recommend checking it out. It's going to go into a weird, awkward story. It gets a little introspection about how the character is lonely. He's busting up terrorists, and I mean busting up. I mean really well. He finds unconditional love in a new pet, that dog, which you see right on the cover. And then the story's going to go from there. It's pretty interesting because the person that needs his help, the villain that needs his help, if you will, needs somebody that's not too bright, but is going to work out for him. And they figured Peacemaker is the guy to choose. So there we go. Peacemaker, I think is off to a good start. This might be something worth checking out. Now, the next one is the first time in a long time this has not been in my top 3, but it was still pretty solid. And that is none other than The Flash issue 798. 93 out of 99 liked it on the League of Comics Geeks with a 4.1 rating. I gave it a 7.55, which is a perfectly strong score. This was a pretty good week for comic books, actually. Decent art. And I guessed it that Wally's wife didn't actually have Flash powers. It was the baby, and once the baby's gone, she wouldn't have powers. I called it. I was right. Fun story, fun characters. Tragedy falls to the West family, though, which uncovers a mystery that will take our favorite red-headed hero beyond time and space. Mr. Terrific joins, which is always awesome because I enjoy Mr. Terrific as a character, and I like seeing him get more attention. And he joins Wally along with a few surprise guests. I'll give you a hint, there's some that they used to be in a series together as a team. That's all I'm going to say. And it's written by Jeremy Adams and penciler Fernando Parzan, which again, I butcher the name. So really, this is good. It's still been good. I don't recommend jumping off of Flash just because we have a new writer. I say give it a chance. Let's give it some time and see how it continues to go. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. Are you enjoying continuing reading Flash? Or are you dumping Flash because of the change? I know it's had a good run. I personally hope it continues to be good. The next one in the middle was Avengers War Across Time, issue number 5. The conclusion, 16 out of 16 liked it with a 4.3 average rating, which tells me that probably not a lot of people are getting this, which is a shame because if you like classic Avengers, this really was it. I gave it a 7.6. It was quite strong. Great classic Avengers dialogue, good art, and really is a nice way to pay the respects to the previous Avenger teams and the characters themselves. Showdown in the future, while the original Avengers get a glimpse of what awaits them in the swirling madness of time. And anyway, it's written by Paul Levitz, and Alan Davis was the artist. And this was a finish up. So if you want a whole series, it was pretty good. It was a little anticlimactic at the end, but it was still good. It was warm-hearted. This was pretty darn solid. I don't think you'd be sad if you got this, especially if you are a fan of classic Avengers. All right, the next in my mid-batch, which surprised me that this did not hit in the bottom 3. This was a shocker to me. Okay, was not in the bottom 3, and that's Spider-Man issue number 8. 42 out of 46 liked it, so it's a mid-tier level seller with a 3.8 average rating, which, once again, I thought this was a pretty surprising issue. Maxed out part 1, clear and present danger. Spider-Man has changed. His powers are supercharged, enabling him to be the best Spider-Man he could be. Boy, does that sound familiar before? The best Spider-Man, this update. But can he hold on to this? Can his body take it? Ready? It's written by Dan Slott, penciler Mark Bagley, which I'm a Bagley art fan. I think it's one of the things that carries the book. Dan Slott is one of the things that puts down the book. But with that said, I thought this issue was pretty good. I gave it a 7.45. The art's good. Spider-Boy is lame. Let's be honest there. He's trying to create more characters because they have a little bit of extra money to go to his way if they get used and things that way. The story is pretty good so far, though. But will Dan be the usual slot and slot up the ending? I think Dan traditionally just fails on writing endings. He's bad about them. He fails to stick them all the time. But this issue was surprisingly good. A lot better than the other Spider-Man title we've been getting. And trust me, both of these have not been good. So this was quite a pleasant surprise. Now to dive into my bottom 3. Yeah, the bottom 3, believe it or not. Dan Slott's Spider-Man didn't hit the bottom 3. My number 3 at the bottom was The Joker, The Man Who Stopped Laughing, issue number 8. 33 out of 37 liked it with a 4 average rating. After getting hit by a train, the Joker awakens in Gotham sewers, being cared for by none other than Solomon Grundy. While his mind and his body are recovering, the Clown Prince of Crime and his new sidekick learn that they're not their only monsters, currently calling the sewers their home. And the second Joker has set a course to find and destroy his alter ego. And we get a little bit of the Red Hood in here too as well. The writer is Matthew Rosenberg, artist Francisco Friends. I'm not going to butcher that name. And also there's a Carmine D. And I can't say the rest of that too because I'll butcher that too. I gave it a 7.03. If you notice, the score still isn't really low. This was a strong week. This really was a strong week for comic books in my opinion. I thought it had decent art. It's an interesting story. The secondary story was a complete waste of time. It was meh at best, mid. And I think it could have been much better utilized if we would have used that for more pages of the main story. But as you see there, with a score of that I gave it there of a 7.3, it's not bad. And that was at my number 3 position. My number 2 at the bottom was Spider-Man 2099 number 1, Dark Genesis number 1. So I don't know exactly what to make of this because they put the legacy numbering on it, but is it going to continue the Spider-Man 2099 series? Because otherwise it seems like just a mini series. 18 out of 18 liked it, so it didn't get a lot of people interested in it with a 4.2 rating there. As society begins to crumble, Spider-Man 2099 will need all the help he can get. And I think it's pretty cool. We do see some throwbacks to some other 2099 heroes, and I think we're going to continue to get that. So if you're a fan of 2099, you might want to be checking this out. We have Carnage 2099, Venom 2099, Moon Knight 2099. Really does have an interesting cast. The art though, I think the art could be better, but it is nice seeing more 2099 characters. Writer is Steve Orlando, artist is Justin Mason. So if you're a big fan, pretty good one to get. If you're not, I don't see anybody rushing to get it otherwise, and the numbers aren't looking like people are, sadly. All right, I'm going to be a bit controversial. For my number 1 at the bottom, boy, I'm probably going to get hit hard on this one. Yeah, I know. It's Batman 135. Yeah, 237 out of 255 liked it with a 4.2 average rating, saying they liked it a whole lot more than I did. We have the Chip Zdarsky writing this and the artist Mikhail Janin. Sorry if I butchered your names. Now, well, I'll put it this way. Batman gets some new arm equipment to patch up that hand he had cut off, and I have to say, Ash did it better. If you know what I'm talking about, leave it in the comments. Ash did it better. It's nice seeing respect to the different versions of Batman with the multiverse situation here. But there lies probably one of the reasons I didn't grade it as high. I am so sick of everything being multiverse, and we have some major multiverse Batman here. I'm just not a fan of the storyline in general, but this issue was silly, and it did jump the shark, if you'll get what I'm saying, because we get shark repellent in this, which I thought that was a really good touch, which maybe I should have given it a higher score for that, but I gave it a 7. I didn't say it was terrible. It just, I guess I'm just really sick of all the multiverse stuff. And this is Legacy issue 900, by the way. So it wasn't terrible any means. Notice I gave it a 7. That's average. So the lowest book for me this week was a 7. So what did you read? What did I miss? Let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. How was I wrong? Why did you give a score higher or lower? It's okay. Let's have a nice fun discussion. I do these for the community aspect. And by the way, if you made it this far, thank you. I appreciate it. And be safe out there. There's a lot of hate and anger right now. We could be spreading joy. So let's try to spread some of that and enjoy some good comic books together. And until next time, everybody, I think you know what's coming here.